Welcome in, everybody, to Fantasy Pros. This is the Fantasy Football Podcast. It is me, Joey P, Joe Pisapia, and today we've got a very special mock draft episode. That's right. You remember when you were kids and a very special Blossom episode was on? Well, guess what? That's what we've got today. We've got a crossover episode. Who knows what sort of deep, dark secrets we might learn about our guests, but it's two of my favorite people in the fantasy space. You know them from the massive YouTube success that is the Fantasy Headliners. It's Jake Hubman and, of course, Kyle Richardson are joining us here. Gentlemen, it's great to have you on the program. I can only imagine, those very special Saved by the Bell episodes. Nobody's on any sort of, weird uppers or anything today for the draft. Jacob, you okay?
I think so. As of right now, when you mentioned Blossom episodes, I was totally lost. But once you said Saved by the Bell, you totally redeemed yourself, because I can totally relate now.
Yes. Well, speaking of being so excited, Kyle Richardson, so excited just to be upright, because apparently he's been under the weather for the last 3 weeks. So we appreciate you soldiering on today to do this PPR mock draft with us, my friend. And again,
I'm the one with a lot of medication running through my system. So who knows what I will say today.
Well, I like that. That's going to make this draft even more fun and possibly also more interesting, because I'm at the 4 spot, Jacob's at the 1, Kyle's at the 9, and guess who also is here with us from The Athletic? Jake Ciely. So Ciely, I'm just going to call you Ciely today. I hope you're all right with that, so we don't confuse everybody listening on the audio side for all the Jakes with the headliners here today. So Jake Ciely, what is your favorite Saved by the Bell episode? I know you have one.
I'm so scared. Yes, I'm so excited. Go. I'm so scared. I don't know. I appreciated the fake biopic they did on the Zach attack. That was actually a very enjoyable one.
A classic. Yeah. I love in one of those later seasons where everything starts moving around and the timelines are totally off, and you're like, what's going on? Have they graduated high school? Have they not? I'm confused about what's going on.
I was going to say, that was my follow-up question. Thumbs up or thumbs down on the college years?
Thumbs down. Thumbs down.
Gotta be thumbs down.
I say thumbs up once they brought most of them back. Like, once Tiffany Amber Thiessen came back into college, then it got
everybody
better.
transferred. All right, it got better.
Yeah.
All right. Well, things can only go up from here at the start of this show right now. Again, we've got a PPR mock draft. We got 1 QB. We've got 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, tight end, flex, 6 bench spots. Of course, we're using our mock draft simulators here over at Fantasy Pros. So make sure you sync your leagues for free today. Download the app and start mocking on your own. We want to rock out with your mock out here as much as you can before you start to get real drafts happening here. And before we get going, quick reminder too, like this video, subscribe to the channel, drop your comments below about football or Saved by the Bell or whatever, and you might win yourself our latest giveaway, which is a doozy, the A.J. Brown Eagles autographed helmet. It's the Salute to Service one too. Super cool, from pristineauction.com. So again, if you want a chance to win this for free, might I add, drop your comments, subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get to 300,000 this year. And of course, ring the bell till it goes ding for notifications so you never miss a piece of content here on the channel. And you will know if you are the big winner, and you might as well like the video too. Can't hurt your chances. Can't hurt your chances. All right. So PPR world, we've been doing a lot of mock drafts here. Jacob Hubman, it seems pretty easy to me where we're just going to go right ahead there for Ja'Marr Chase, but perhaps that's not what you're thinking here with the 1 pick. So walk me through the top of the board in the full PPR, maybe even versus the half.
For sure. And anybody who has ever watched me over the last 8 years knows that I am all about massive amount of running backs early. I want touches. However, I chose the number 1 spot on purpose because I wanted to do something different. If I have the number 1, it is Ja'Marr Chase for me, and I'll kind of go somewhat quote-unquote hero wide receiver at that point. I love Bijan. I'm not on the whole Saquon Barkley is going to regress so much that he's not worth it. Is he going to regress? Absolutely, and he's not going to have probably the same year. Does that mean he's not going to be top 5 at the position and still worth the pick? Absolutely not. So I'm not worried about that kind of stuff, but if I'm at the number 1, I'm going to have a little bit of fun, and I'm going to go ahead and take Ja'Marr Chase.
All right, so Chase off the board. You know, it's funny. The absolutely not, though, I will say, the data's not on his side. And I've said that. We got a fun short here, too. Recently we just did. So if you're looking for, DeMarco Murray, Eddie George, Sean Alexander, Larry Johnson, Jamal Lewis twice, Corey Dillon, Edgerrin James, Curtis Martin, Arian Foster, Amon Green, I can go on, but I'm going to stop because, again, we got a show to do. But yeah, there's a lot of guys who had 400 plus carries where the next year they didn't even finish as an RB1. So that is terrifying, I think.
Yeah.
And for me, it was a first round selection. It's just not where I want to go. Now, it is up to me right now with Chase off the board. Bijan goes 2, Jameer goes next, which means guess who falls in my lap? Justin Jefferson. Yes, please. That's an easy pick for me. I think JJ will have a slow start in September. I do. But I think by the time we turn the page to October 1st, it'll be fine. And if he can get the points he got last year with Sam Darnold, I think we can get J.J. McCarthy there as well. CeeDee Lamb goes next. Saquon Barkley to Team 6. Then Nico Collins goes after that at 107. Then 108, Christian McCaffrey right before you, Kyle. So, Kyle, if McCaffrey was on the board, is he tempting to you, or you are a no McCaffrey guy?
I'm not a no McCaffrey guy, but I would rather have McCaffrey in the second round if possible, but that's just not going to happen this year. So I don't find myself ever drafting him.
I feel exactly the same way. I love the early best balls where he's like, oh, he's kind of at the turn, or oh, he's a 14 overall. I'm like, okay, that's kind of where it makes sense for me, but I think the same. And it feels like Ciely, as we get closer and closer here to draft season, you see that ticking up from 14th overall to the turn to now, here we go, 108, Ciely. Is that what you've been seeing out there in the draft streets?
I have, and I've actually been willing to. I made a decision the other day to take Jefferson falling to the 6 versus McCaffrey, and I sat there and thought about it for a long time because similar to Jake, the other one, argument with Saquon Barkley is I'm not afraid. If I have somebody like McCaffrey who can be the 101 period overall in fantasy, I'm going to take that upside. Look, we lose first rounders all the time and still win our leagues. I know that people are like, oh, you don't want to lose your draft in the first round, but you saw it this weekend, Joe, at the flex leagues. Barkley was the second and third running back off the board in both drafts. Like I think there are people that are on your side, but I think on the whole is you're gonna have to make that decision with both of them. On the whole, to reference the Austin Powers.
Phrasing, Ciely. Phrasing.
There you go.
So Kyle, let's get to your pick here at 109. You took Malik Neighbors. Lots of upside there.
So I got auto picked because I got into the Christian McCaffrey conversation.
Oh, we're gonna have to roll it back already, like on your first round.
For a
Now
second.
here's the thing. If you're doing your own mocks, you can actually roll out your picks. But because we're doing this one this way using the mock draft lobby, you can't. So one of the many pluses here with the draft simulator is that you can actually roll the picks back and say, I don't like that. I wouldn't do that. So I'm sorry, Kyle, that you got auto pick. But
I'm the guy in the league that again shows up either medicated or have been drinking too long, forgets where he's drafting, all that. I'll still take Malik Neighbors. I was gonna go with my boy Amon-Ra St. Brown, but it's fine. Okay. I'll take Malik Neighbors as well. The offense is gonna be improved. And it's going to be improved regardless if Russ is the starter all year or if Dart takes over at some point or what ends up happening. So volume with Malik Neighbors. I'll take that all day still.
All right. You are on the clock, so I won't talk to you anymore.
Okay.
I'm going to talk to Jake Ciely instead so that I don't want you to get auto-picked twice. But still, okay. Malik, Amon-Ra, pretty close there. In fact, so close, Amon-Ra goes at 110, Puka Nacua next. And then Jake Ciely, you go with my boy Derrick Henry and Brian Thomas. That's a very Joey P kind of start to a team. Obviously, you've been hanging out quite a bit with me. So let's talk about that start, how you feel about those selections.
Similar to Jake earlier, also, I'm very much on I want to get one of my lead running backs in the first 2 rounds if possible. I feel it's much more attainable at the end of the first because you can also get the elite wide receiver to match with them. And it opens it up. A lot of times, to reference that other draft where I had Jefferson, I kind of went with the hero wide receiver approach. I have 2 running backs, and I had Burrow in the 4th in that league, in that one, which I haven't done in a while, but I wanted to try it. I think it lets you go either way, though. Like, I could have had a hero running back team still getting Henry there. So I think it just opens up the flexibility going forward. I'm probably on the turn in the first, always going to pair up running back and wide receiver unless there's just some crazy run that happens in the first round.
All right, Ashton Genty goes at 202, Devon Achane next. And then, Kyle, you took Drake London?
I did.
Question mark?
Okay, good. All right, good. Okay, just want to make sure.
That was actually my pick.
All right, good. All right, we're back on track here. Look, it's terrific here. Malik Neighbors, Drake London, a great way to start. Real quick, just touch on Malik Neighbors with all the different quarterbacks this year, if that is something that turned you off to him as opposed to Amon-Ra, and then the upside of Drake London with Penix this season.
I mean, I think people are going to be worried. Listen, I'm not as worried about Malik Neighbors because I'm a huge Jackson Dart fan. So I think if for whatever reason he ends up playing this year, I think Malik Neighbors is going to end up being just fine. And I don't think the situation at quarterback can be any worse than what we have seen recently for them either. So I'm all in on Malik Neighbors. He's going to be the number one target by a substantial amount, in my opinion. Russ is going to throw the deep ball a little bit better than what they've been used to over the last couple of years, giving him some more upside plays to go along with that volume. And as far as Drake London goes, I have made an argument at times with my wide receiver rankings to rank him as wide receiver 4. Absolutely love him this season based on the small sample size that we had at the very end of the season with Michael Penix. Drake London could absolutely eat. I'm buying all in on the Atlanta Falcons this year and their offense for fantasy.
Josh Jacobs goes next at 205, then A.J. Brown, Brock Bowers, Jonathan Taylor. Then to me, again, the big wide receiver bill. That's what I like to do, especially in the PPR. We've got Ladd McConkey to me at 209. I think that Justin Herbert, people forget last year came into the season hurt. He's a guy that broke the rookie passing record. The next year threw for 5,000 yards. I know it's a different team, different regime, but at the same time, I do think that there's a greater version here of Justin Herbert in this Roman offense. Is going to throw even more. Plus, Amari Hampton, I think, is going to help out a long ways also. So, Ladd McConkey, very steady last year. Bucky Irving goes to 210. Tyreek Hill at 211. I was considering Hill back and forth. I thought, oh, maybe it'll make it back to me. He did not. And, of course, Jacob staying on brand, doubles up on RBs. Chase Brown and Kyron Williams. Kyron getting the bag, and Chase Brown, one less piece around him now with all of a sudden Zach Moss kicked to the curb.
Yeah, and Zach Moss sucks, and that's why he's no longer there. I mean, let's be completely honest. The dude was not great at football.
Who sucks more, Zach Morris or Zach Moss? Just curious.
Oh, Zach Moss for sure. I mean, there's no way Moss could handle that whole hair wave thing. He couldn't pull that off. Absolutely not. But I love Chase Brown. I love Chase Brown last year. He was one of our must-haves last year, and the offensive line isn't great in Cincinnati, and I think we kind of know that, but he really thrives on getting the ball in space and getting to the outside, and he's so explosive. He makes plays happen, and with bringing T. Higgins back and having Jamar Chase and Yoshi there, and now we got multiple tight ends to worry about in Cincinnati. The boxes aren't going to be stacked again, and I love Chase Brown once again. As for Kyron Williams, I know a lot of people, probably the majority of people, are off the bandwagon of Kyron Williams this year, and I am not. I love Kyron Williams. Very rarely in the third round are you going to find a running back that has 20 touch potential on a weekly basis. I love touches. You can't score fantasy points without touches. Give me the volume. Now they've paid him. He's going to be there. I'm not worried about, third day running backs in LA right now. Maybe in the future, Kyron's still the guy, and if I can have him as my RB2, I'll take it.
I could not agree with you more. I've taken Kyron a lot on these mocks, so make that 2 for 2 there on that one. Also, before we continue on with the third round here, don't forget, if you want to get in the game, Best Ball is live at DraftKings. $15 million is on the line with real stakes and real excitement. Best Ball is the biggest fantasy contest at DraftKings, and we're talking about $15 million guaranteed in the prize pool, with 2 millionaires, not 1, 2 being crowned for first and second place. So if you want a shot at winning a share of $15 million and that's not enough to get you excited, well, check this out. DraftKings is offering everyone here a draft one, get one special. That's $20 entry fee that scores you a bonus ticket. Download the DraftKings app today and use that promo code FANTASYPROS. That's Fantasy Pros for all customers who enter the NFL Best Ball $15 million millionaire contest to get bonus tickets right now and get a shot at being crowned one of 2 millionaires only on DraftKings. Continuing on with the board here in round 3, Josh Allen at 302. Jackson Smith and Jigba at 303. Then I took Garrett Wilson, the number 1 with the Jets, and Justin Fields at 304. Team 5 selects Marvin Harrison, then Lamar Jackson, Trey McBride, Breece Hall. Kyle Richardson's on the clock with 26 seconds. I can hardly contain myself with the drama.
I'm trying to click draft for Alvin Kamara, but it is not letting me draft him.
Are you still on auto pick? That would be the question here.
It doesn't say I am.
Well, let me pause it again here and refresh the page and see if we can get back in there.
See, I told you things were going to get a little weird with me today.
Jacob did warn me. He said Kyle's a bit of a liability at headliners. I carry him a lot on the shows, and I said that's not true. Now I'm understanding more about that. All right, are you back in? Are you ready to rock and roll, my friend?
I believe I am. I'm in here.
Okay, so I'm going to restart things for you, and this is the great thing here about the mock draft simulator. You can pause it. You can go mock with your friends, your frenemies. People who do a podcast, go use it here. But the simulator right now, again, it's public. It's free. You go out there, you sync your leagues for free. Draft Intel is another great tool as well. It'll give you advice on your picks. We've even got Coach coming, which is for Hall of Fame members. That's going to be released in the weeks ahead. Very exciting there. where basically you can kind of chat and say, who are the picks remaining here with big upside? Oh, this one? Oh, okay, cool. These are the 3 guys I'm looking at. Who are the picks that all have the same bye week? Things like that you could just kind of type in there and get your answers. That kind of stuff is huge. So again, start looking at Draft Wizard right now. Download the app wherever you get your apps. All right, it looks like we got our pick in. Alvin Kamara is the guy. Now look, I hate the Saints offense, Kyle, but I still like the value on Alvin Kamara, and it looks like you do too.
Yeah, I'll take all the targets that he likely gets with dump offs this year in a PPR league this late, especially since I went wide receiver to start, which I very rarely will ever do. So definitely a little bit of a different strategy for me today than I'm used to. Alvin Kamara at the end of the 3rd round here. Give me all of those targets.
Jacob, who plays more at QB, Spencer Rattler or Tyler Shuck this season?
Is that me now? I'm Jacob today, right?
You're Jacob. Jake Ciely's always Jake or just Ciely now today.
Just want to make sure about.
I've never I don't even think Jake is full. Is your full name Jacob? No, no, it's not.
Well, there you go. Now I know going forward.
It's Jackenzie, I believe.
Right. If I had to guess, it's probably Shuck. But honestly, they both are not going to be great.
Doesn't sound very confident.
It's not. I mean, we saw Rattler for a little bit last year, and were we impressed? No, and that's the whole reason they did something in the draft. I'm not buying anything in the passing offense. Alvin Kamara is the only piece I will touch for the Saints,
right.
And for the reason that Kyle said is, I see a ton of dump offs, a lot of targets, some touchdown opportunities. If the guy can go out there and score over 6 touchdowns this year, it's a slam dunk.
All right, so let's get to Ciely's picks here. After you have Kamara, Jaden Daniels off the board, Terry McLaurin, Ken Walker the third, and Devontae Adams to Ciely. So Walker, Adams, you've gone RB, wide receiver, RB, wide receiver. I know you're a little OCD, Jake. Is that part of what's happening here, or you just really like the values of Walker and Adams?
Oh, no, those were the values. Those were the players I was going to take, but I did go RB in the 3rd just to do it. So okay. You can go with that one. You know my feelings of Kenneth Walker, if anybody is tuning in and doesn't. This was somebody that I thought would see more of a split with Charbonnet until I talked to Michael Sean Duggar of The Athletic, and he said, no, everything I'm seeing and hearing from the team is that he's going to be a bell cow as long as he's healthy, despite how good Charbonnet looked. That's the plans from that system, and which changes a lot. I know it's an injury risk, but if you're talking about bell cow work for Walker, you're talking about potentially an RB1. And then Adams, that situation, it was a toss-up between Adams and Higgins, but I know people are worried about Stafford's back right now, but the bigger conversation, you and I had this on our last mock draft, is there's a world where if we reach the end of the season and Adams has more fantasy points than Puka Nacua, health aside, just straight up, that he has more points, none of us would be completely shocked. Like, it would be a surprise, but we wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. All right, so after Devontae Adams, T. Higgins goes, George Kittle goes, Kyle back on the clock, Devonta Smith. Now, he was my 3rd wide receiver that I selected in the Flex League this weekend, where Jake Ciely and I will get to hanging out. Look, he's steady Eddie, man. You kind of know what you're getting with him. So your thoughts on Smith at the 404 is your number 3.
Yeah, I'm taking him for the upside there. I've already got Malik Neighbors and Drake London, who I think are going to see a ton of volume. I got Alvin Kamara, who I think is going to see a ton of volume in the passing game. So now at this point, I want a little upside. I want some big playability. There's going to be some weeks where Devontae Smith lets you down and you're just like, man, could this guy just have caught maybe 3 balls this week and maybe a bigger play or something like that? But I need a little upside to go with this team, and I think that he was the best bet there. So I go with him to kind of help balance things out for me.
All right, trying to balance things out there. Next pick here, as we look through the board, going through after Devonta Smith, Mike Evans, Jalen Hurts, Tet McMillan goes next here. Let me pause this real quick here. And then Tet McMillan, DJ Moore. I selected Amari and Hampton here at 409 as we did him and James Cook going back and forth. Cook probably the safer play here, but I rolled the dice here with Amari and Hampton a little bit here. Again, the lack of clarity about Najee Harris. All I know is that he's wearing an eye patch and walking around a track right now. That's basically all I know, and that doesn't make me feel warm and fuzzy about selecting him. So Cook, look, there might be touchdown regression from him, of course. It's very likely. But was it going to go from 18 to 13? I can still live with that. Either one of those selections here, pretty good. DK Metcalf goes in between, so DK at 410, James Cook at 411, Calvin Ridley then selected along with George Pickens. So, Jacob, this has really fallen pretty well for you. You took your, as you said, hero wide receiver. You got 2 solid number 1 running backs in Brown and Williams, and now Calvin Ridley and George Pickens at the 4-5 turn.
I am so happy right now. Like, if I could stand up, I mean, this is like I'm like having a great time.
Please
like,
don't.
This is great.
Please don't. We don't want to get flagged on YouTube.
I know. I trust me. I know all the rules.
Yeah.
But no, I think Calvin Ridley. When you look at it at this point, volume, right? I'm not scared about Tyler Lockett or Calvin Ridley's going to see 125 plus targets easy in that offense. And honestly, with what we've seen from Cam Ward so far, dude looking pretty legit in camp. He's making all the throws that he needs to. He's passing the eye test. Obviously, a lot of it is in shorts, and you can't take too much of that into account. But still, I love the potential volume. And then I'm going with George Pickens as many times as I possibly can. If I can get George Pickens in the 5th, we've seen George Pickens with horrible offensive play calling with Arthur Smith and horrible quarterback play for years with guys like Kenny Pickett. If I can have him with Dak Prescott, a lot of defensive attention, looking other places too, with CeeDee Lamb or Jake Ferguson, George Pickens, I want to know what the upside is, right? We haven't seen the ceiling of George Pickens yet, and this is a great opportunity in this Dallas offense to find it.
He's still just 24 years old. He's never played with a quarterback as explosive as Dak can be at times. Go ahead, Ciely.
I was going to say, can we talk about, because I love his team too, especially with the Calvin Ridley, 120 targets last year for 64,004. With everybody talking about how terrible that team was last year. And it's like, everything's going to be better for Cam Ward this year. Everything's going to be better for the offense. The backfield's going to look better, and nobody brings up Calvin Ridley as being better. I can't understand why he's not getting more respect.
I don't get it either. I mean, it just fits. I mean, it just makes logical sense that his target share could slightly increase and they could be more catchable targets. I mean, that's a recipe for success.
I like Cam Ward too, especially as the third quarterback is with upside in a super flex. I mean,
100%.
I would be really aggressive. He's a smart kid. He's really committed to. I really like everything that comes out of his mouth. He walks the walk. He talks the talk. I like both those things. Rushy Rice at 502. Cortland Sutton at 503. I just missed him. I wanted him. I just missed him, so I settled for another running back here. R.J. Harvey. Look, I had to spend a whole weekend with Derek Brown. It must be rubbing off on me because I drafted R.J. Harvey here. But look, 2 rookie running backs. Running the football in this league is a young man's game. So I think that J.K. Dobbins was brought in just to shave the workload. I don't think it's to take over. I see him, and now with the potential that he's the Joker in this offense, as we're starting to hear now, maybe it's not Evan Ingram, maybe it's actually R.J. Harvey. That's a horse of a different color. Travion Henderson goes next at 505, then Jalen Waddle, Chuba Hubbard, Chris Olave, and then another RB to Kyle Richardson. Who was it, Kyle?
James Conner. I'll go with James Conner there as my RB2. I like James Conner. The age and potential injury concerns always pop up with him, but just make sure you get Trey Benson later on and you'll be all set.
There you go. Simple as that, everybody.
Yeah,
that's what you do.
As that.
Xavier Worthy at 5'10". Then we have Jerry Jeudy go next. After that, Jake Ciely up for 2 picks. He did not go running back wide receiver. Instead, he took Jamison Williams, a player we debated yesterday on Draft Court. You can go watch me in the wig playing the Judge Joey character as always. It's on our YouTube channel right now. But Jamison Williams, there's a divide here. A lot of people say, different offense here this year. Might be a little bit different here for that young man. Some people think that could be worse, some better. Ciely, what do you think? And let's talk about the value at QB of Joe Burrow at 601. I almost took him where I was. He made it all the way to you at the turn.
Yeah, which is absurd. I'm not one for that usually goes quarterback early, but I mentioned that other draft. Yeah. And I know when you're at the 6th spot, the reason I took him in the middle of the 4th round, that being Burrow, and that one is because the 6th spot just sucks this year. But it was this range of wide receivers. Well, here, being all the way down in the first pick of the 6th round, end of the 5th round, whichever it might be, I mean, he's the safest of the non-running, non-upside regular guys that aren't in the tier 1. I don't understand how he would fall this far in most drafts. I don't think he will. So I wouldn't put that in your home league. He's going to have to go before there. But to go back to Jamison Williams, I'm not that concerned. Jamison Williams, we've already heard from Morton that he's going to change a little. And that might be a little bit more than we see because he's saying a little for team's sake. But all of this, Jamison's still number 2. Jamison just put up top 25 overall NPPR numbers, not even seeing 100 targets. Are we really worried that, this is only a downhill? Why can't it also be better? So I'm all in Jamison Williams as my 3, and I can live with the ups and downs that he'll bring? Absolutely, every single time.
Yeah, look, I'm with you on that one. And
God,
the Joe
Jacob's
Burrow pick,
destroying this draft. Can I just bring that out real quick? Jacob's just killing this.
I mean, I'm so
the
happy
Pacheco
right now.
pick when you get to it.
I'm so excited right now.
well, hopefully the analysis at the back end will be very happy for him. But he is. It might. I've said it for us to grade it. The 3 of us and Jake Ciely. So
perfect. Jake already loves
so we'll
it,
see how that goes. But before we, I'm going to tease Jacob's picks here because he's so excited to talk about it. You can tell he's leaning into it. He's very excited right now. The fact that you know your room, like I know these guys are probably late QB guys, and I was like, I don't know if Burrow's gonna make it back around to me again. Kyle, had he made it back around to you, would you have taken Joe Burrow?
No.
Okay, so it probably would have made it back.
I know which quarterback I'm going with already.
All right, fair enough. We're all going to be fighting over those guys. Let's get through some more picks. Kyle's on the board right now making his selection. Sam Laporta goes after Joe Burrow. Then Zay Flowers at 6:03. I can hear the beeping there. Kyle has 10 seconds left. He made a selection of David Montgomery at 6:04. So let's talk about the David Montgomery selection. He's your RB3. A lot of touchdowns the last couple of years for Montgomery. Can we expect that now the third time around? Or do you think maybe this offense looks a little different without Engstrom and without Ben Johnson, the coordinator here anymore?
So being a Lions fan, clearly you can
you
tell
see the pain
by
in,
everything.
You can hear the
around
pain in
me.
his voice, everybody? When he says, being a Lions fan. Yeah.
So I am not worried about Johnny Morton being the offensive coordinator in Detroit. He was a senior offensive analyst when Ben Johnson was a first-year coordinator for Detroit 3 seasons ago. Ben Johnson has said out loud, I credit Johnny Morton for a lot of the things that I did when it comes to game planning and scheming and things like that. So I'm not nearly as worried about the Detroit Lions offense. Now, the center of the offensive line, yes, that is something to be a little concerned about. That is going to affect David Montgomery way more than it will affect Jahmyr Gibbs, with Jahmyr Gibbs really seeing a bulk of his carries to the outside in space and things of that nature. So could we see some touchdown regression? Absolutely. But I still think we're going to see the Lions in the red zone enough that David Montgomery is still going to have a shot. And we'll just hope that the slick mullet from Georgia can go ahead and work the center position enough for the Lions to get in the end zone enough still.
All right, so after Montgomery, Patrick Mahomes goes, DeAndre Swift, Joe Mixon, TJ Hawkinson. I took Stephon Diggs as my 4th wide receiver. I love getting him as my 4 because if he shows you, anything close to what he used to be there, and he looks sharp in camp. I mean, I was shocked to see him moving so well this soon. Just absolutely obliterated my brain there. He's really solid, and Drake May, I think, has a lot of talent. You have a real offensive coordinator back. I think Stephon Diggs could have a nice little bounce back season. Probably the best spot for him too, because there is that need. He can be the quote unquote star guy again, which is what his diva mentality likes. But on top of that, there's discipline because Mike Vrabel's not going to let him get away with too much nonsense. So I think it's the best landing spot for Stephon Diggs. Chris Godwin at 6'10", Travis Hunter 6'11", and now we finally get to Jacob here. Pacheco and Deebo Samuel. Again, a lot of upside here. I think we all believe that eventually Terry McLaurin will fall in line there with the Commanders, but if he doesn't, I don't know what that means for Deebo. Let's talk about those 2 selections, Jacob, Pacheco and Deebo.
Well, first off, with Pacheco as my number 3, I know a lot of people got burned by Pacheco last year, but did we forget that he broke his leg? That's an issue, right? You can't play football with one leg unless it's like Madden 05. So you're gonna
or
have
you're Greg Jennings.
Yeah, exactly. Greg Jennings just limping down the sidelines. You know what I mean? So he's looking great in camp. The clips are already coming out. He looks like he's up to full speed. He's running angry again. It's still a Chiefs offense that, even though it's not what it was a couple years ago, he's going to have a lot of opportunity. Kareem Hunt is basically washed at this point, super inefficient. So if I can get Pacheco as my number 3, I'm going to take a risk then in the 7th, and I'm going with Deebo Samuel because Deebo's going to enter this as not only a contract year, he only got a 1-year deal, but he's going to have a little bit of a chip on his shoulder because everybody thinks that he can't perform. But now he's going to enter a Cliff Kingsbury air raid offense where they're going to get him the ball in space. He was ranked outside the top 80 wide receivers in average depth of target. The guy was getting the ball close to the line of scrimmage, and he was having to make defenders miss right away. If they can get him the ball further down the field and he can make things happen, I know a lot of people are worried about Fat Deebo out there, but the guy is the guy is still in great shape, and I'm not worried about it whatsoever. And I get him as my wide receiver 4 with the potential upside of a top 15 guy.
All right, Jacob's back on the clock here for his 8th round pick. Let me recap the rest of the 7th. Addison, Kyler Murray. Then I took Tony Pollard as my 3rd running back. A little stability there. Guy's got a bunch of years in a row with 1,000 yards. And as we were talking about, if the Titans are better, well, that's a good thing. And I could always take Spears potentially, I guess. We'll see how the draft goes to back him up if I want. Rome Odunze goes next. Khalil Shakir, Ricky Pearsall, trendy pick there. Nice selection at 707, good value. Evan Ingram, sorry, Jake, couldn't get him today. Sorry, Ciely. Aaron Jones and another RB. So Richardson, you're building out that RB room. Are you worried here at wide receiver? What's the plan? You've only got 3 right now, and it is PPR.
Yep. Yep, I've got plans a little bit later
Oh,
on.
you got big plans.
I've got some plans later on, but like I said earlier, I don't typically go wide receiver to start. I liked what I saw there, so I went with it. But I gotta have running backs. I have to have. So that's what I'm going to focus on right now, and then we'll take some shots on some guys a little bit later on.
Okay, there you go. The confidence in your voice, Kyle, is really good. It's either that or the Dayquil. I'm not sure which one it is. After you have Aaron Jones, a bit of both, Cooper Kupp, and then Caleb Johnson lasting way too long at 7-11. I just want to put that out there. Jake Ciely taking one of my favorite values, Jacoby Myers, who just continues to see targets and catch them in a PPR league. He is a really solid late investment. And then Tyrone Tracy, who they say is the one now. So you must feel pretty good about that, Ciely, that they've come out and said, no, it's Tracy, it's Tracy, it's Tracy. I don't know if I believe them, but at least it's Tracy for now. Let's talk about Myers and Tracy.
So Myers was value. I was really upset with Team 11 taking Caleb Johnson right before I took him. That was my plan. And I went with Tracy, not so much because I really wanted Tracy, but it was kind of a toss-up with a few others. And I wanted to talk about Tracy because, I've been doing this show with you for the past 3-4 months with Debro, big Scattaboo fan. And I still think it was going to be Scattaboo. It's the injury that opens things up. And I'm not so much the fact that, it's always been Tracy as the guy, because we talk about it a lot in the fact that Tracy fumbled. Tracy was a surprise to some people in fantasy and people who didn't know him coming from college. And I think that clouded people. It's like, we found this guy. We had no idea he was supposed to be that good. Not also understanding that Tracy is he's kind of a really good complementary piece. And that's not necessarily saying like, Tracy stinks. I just think Scattaboo brings more between the tackles, but also his passing upside, that it was going to be more of a 55-45 split to Scattaboo. But that's why I brought up Tracy here, is because that injury is going to set him back. So I think that Scattaboo is now more of a second half of the season to watch out for. And that's why I went with him. But yes, Jacoby Myers is just value at that point. We saw it last year. Another guy who's probably walking into 120 targets again. Because really, Trey Tucker, Deontay Thornton, who I think is nice, but it's just a bunch of guys behind Bowers and Myers.
Yeah, I don't love the hamstring issue for Scattaboo, so we got to be careful. And his mentality of I'm going to get right back on. Well, I'm going to get right back on the field. It looks like he might have re-injured it already. That's not the greatest scenario. Again, that's the plus and minus of that crazy football mentality he has. But maybe Scattaboo, in Jake's opinion at least, a little bit better of a trade target than a draft target at his current value.
Come on, Kyle. I just saw the draft.
There we go. Baker Mayfield goes at 802. Travis Etienne at 803, who I got super late on the Saturday flex draft. Go follow flex drafts and look at all of those too. Some big time experts in there. Some really interesting stuff in super flex and in the regular one as well. Richardson, you did take your QB here. You had a plan. Did you execute what you wanted here at 804 and Bo Nix?
I actually didn't. There was somebody else that I was going to go with a little bit later, but then I was looking at the board and how I wanted to go ahead and draft, and Nix was still there. And I still like the upside. I mean, they've obviously kind of retailored the running back room there in Denver, so it'll be interesting with RJ Harvey, what they really end up wanting to do there this season. But with Bo Nix, I mean, he's got a little bit of rushing upside. He's going to run the ball a little bit, probably score some touchdowns on the ground. Obviously, it's still going to be an offense that's going to throw the ball quite a bit. So at 804, I said, you know what? Why not? Let's go ahead and go with Bo Nix because I like his upside a little bit more than someone else I was going to go with there.
All right, so quarterback starting to fly here in the 8th round. Baker, then you took Bo Nix. Jaden Reed goes, Josh Downs, Juwan Jennings, then Justin Fields goes right before me. Damn it. So I'll settle for Dak Prescott, a guy who is not a stranger to a top 5 QB finish, and I don't love the running back room, so it looks like we're going to throw a lot. And who knows, if Micah Parsons gets traded, we might throw a ton this year. Quinshon Judkins goes, then Brian Robinson, nice value at 811. Jacob, you went tight end and wide receiver, David Njoku and Emeka Egbuka.
Well, I 100% was going to take Dak Prescott until you did. So I kind of had to pivot there a little bit. That's where I was going to go. Love myself some Dak this year. Dak was a top 5 fantasy quarterback with just CeeDee Lamb. Now he gets George Pickens. It could happen again. So I kind of went a little different direction. David Njoku is still sitting there. We've seen, as of right now, that Joe Flacco seems to be the leader in that quarterback room in Cleveland. We've seen Flacco and Njoku before, and they produced in the past. There's not a lot of options in that offense. We got Jerry Jeudy. The running game is kind of like iffy at times. What's going to happen with Quinshon Judkins? So I went with the big play tight end in David Njoku, and then I came back with my favorite rookie wide receiver this year, Emeka Egbuka. I love what they're talking about him in camp. Baker seems to love him. They can put him inside. They can put him outside. Chris Godwin is not 100% healthy, and a lot of the medical opinions that I've seen say that once he does come back, He's going to be a shell of himself, plus also has a higher risk of re-injury. So I don't want to deal with that. The way that Ibuka can be moved around, and I can have him as my wide receiver 5, kind of gives me a little bit of potential upside mid to late season.
Great breakdown there, Jacob. Excellent stuff. Jalen Warren goes next, then Brandon Ayuk. I took Mark Andrews as my tight end at 904, then Scattaboo, Javonte Williams, Najee Harris finally off the board, Michael Pittman. Kyle, you took Travis Kelce. So Njoku, Mark Andrews both go ahead of Kelce. Kelce falls to you. I know you're on the clock here, so I won't make it stay too long there. I'll let you make your selection. But
well, not to give anything away, but Ciely just took both of my next picks.
Well, go ahead. Make
I saw his face. Did you not see me start smiling? I saw Kyle's
10
face.
10 seconds,
yes,
Richardson.
I got him back.
10 seconds, Kyle. Don't miss it. If you need a pause, I'll pause it. Just ask
if
for
you
it.
could pause real quick.
I will, because I'm very excited that both of you came on. It was Kyle's idea to do this too. We're very happy with that, so I did pause it.
Man.
And while Kyle is thinking about his pick, I want you to think about how much fun you're having watching us on YouTube and say, I want even more of this. Well, guess what? You can get it over on Twitch, twitch.tv/fantasypros. That's the place to be Monday through Friday. We are there every single day talking ball. So go follow us there. Use your Amazon Prime. You can get for just $5. You subscribe at our Twitch and you get rid of all those nasty commercials. We're doing Out of Bounds there every Monday live starting in season. That's a couple weeks away. But we've got Q&As there. And again, they're a little bit less populated right now because we just started Twitch this year than the YouTube channel. So that's another great way to find us. Get your questions answered there. So again, Fantasy Pros is the place to be on Twitch now, twitch.tv/fantasypros. Join us for all of the shows, the Q&As, everything. We got Seth on there, D-Bro, myself, Terrell's on there, Worm's on there, Andrew Erickson, everybody, the whole crowd, everybody that you know and love and maybe just tolerate like me. So let's get to Kyle's tilt moment here. After Travis Kelce, Jordan Mason goes, J.K. Dobbins goes. I'll let Kyle make his pick. Jake Ciely, Tank Bigsby, Matthew Golden here. I was hoping Golden would slip a little bit further. He did not. Ciely continues to take all the guys that I think, maybe I'll let one more round go, but I keep forgetting I'm in this draft with Jake.
I have a lot of Matthew Golden. I'm going to continue to have a lot of Matthew Golden. Stepping into the, hey, if Christian Watson could ever stay healthy, what could happen? And we'll get the answer with Matthew Golden. But I actually think he's more of a complete wide receiver than we've seen from Watson. I think Dobbs might take some of those downfield plays anyway. But that being said, stepping in as the one, this is a team that wants to get back to passing a little bit more. And even if they don't, still being the one with, again, talking that 120 target range that we keep bringing up. I think we're looking at somebody who has top 25 upside, and he's not even somebody that I need to put in my lineup. Like, I can be patient with him, and that's why I like it. The Bigsby is a very simple answer, is we're taking shots at who it might be for Cullen. And if it is Bigsby and what we're hearing about him so far, we know that ETN was amazing the first half 2 years ago. And if it's not ETN and it is Bigsby, even though he's not going to catch a lot, I think I'd still be okay with him. Again, somebody that I don't need to start. I could be patient to see if he does win the job. He's a bench piece.
Okay. All right. So was it Matthew Golden, Kyle, that really grinded your gears?
Both of them.
It was both of them. It was Bigsby and Golden. Yeah, I was going to go Golden and then Bigsby after
when
that.
You snipe me with one player, I always get you back with two. That's how it works.
Kyle's back on the clock again now. Every time we go to Kyle to talk, he's on the clock, so I feel guilty.
Yeah,
here, so.
I didn't feel great about getting sniped there. That's okay though. I'm making some changes.
You're making moves. All right, make your move. Make your pick here. See, everybody thinks it's so easy. Like, I'm making picks, I'm doing reads, I'm doing all these things, right? Oh, it's easy to draft a team. See, it's not so easy, everybody. Kyle, let's look at your last couple picks. Travis Kelce, Trey Benson here, the last two, because after Golden went, Charbonnet, Rachaad White went. So we'll talk about those two here of Kelce and Benson. Again, just looking ahead, James Conner, a lot of age, a lot of wear and tear here. Is this the year, finally, where we keep saying at some point this gravy train is going to end? Is it 2025?
I think it could be, and that's why, like, people are, and I see it in our comment section all the time. I love James Conner. I want to draft James Conner. Why don't you love James? And I'm like, I don't love James Conner because I like him a lot. Coming off the season he had last year, I think he's definitely in consideration to be drafted where he currently is. But if you're going to take James Conner, you got to take Trey Benson in case something happens, because like taking a look at just the underlying like efficiency numbers last year for Trey Benson, there's some things that pop up that you look at and say, this kid could be really good if he gets a shot. And he could be one of those guys this year that if you don't already have him on your roster or whatever, it's going to be a problem later on if Conner goes down.
Okay. After that selection of Benson, Rashid Shaheed, Ramondre Stevenson, 10:07 Jerome Ford, then 10:08 Austin Eckler, I took Tajee Spears, and I got the whole Tennessee backfield just in case. So at least I know I've invested in something that I think is going to be there. Rookie quarterback. You want to make sure you back him up with a run game there. Darnell Mooney goes next, then Jaden Higgins. Man, oh man, I can't catch a break. This is why I prefer the turns. At least I can control my own destiny. Jacob, the pivot at quarterback. Caleb Williams and Isaac Guerrero. Let's talk about him.
Okay, so Caleb Williams scares me, but the potential upside is there, right? The improved offensive line. They made a lot of changes here this offseason, bringing in three new offensive linemen. We got Ben Johnson going there. We got Roma Dunze, DJ Moore, Luther Burden, Colston Loveland, Cole Kmet. We got weapons all over the place. I know that people see some camp stuff right now of him struggling or making stupid plays, but I'll never forget an interview, and I wish I could remember the player. It was a few years ago. They talked about, like, during camp, they're doing things differently, right? They're learning new offenses. They're seeing what works and what doesn't work. And I always remember that because I don't want to take into account what I'm seeing just this offseason and write a player off for the entire year. Caleb Williams has everything on paper to put together a good fantasy season. I don't care if the Bears go 0-17. He can put up some fantasy points. And then I came back in the 11th with Isaac Guerrero just so I could mess with Team 8, I think, who has Christian McCaffrey. Because if they need him later on, they're going to be coming to daddy for a trade. And at that point, I can get whatever I may need at that point. Isaac Guerrero is somebody I'm trying to get in almost every one of my drafts without reaching, because it's like the ultimate trade piece, right? Everybody's so worried about CMC. Well, if you're worried about it, Guerrero's a guy that's probably going to get the touches if CMC were to go down.
And if I can let you in just a little sneak peek behind the scenes, Jake calls himself daddy all the time. Like, it's a constant thing.
Okay.
Not so much. Not only to league mates who irritate me.
Oh, there you go. There you have it, everybody. But yeah, look, I'm with you. The draft is for taking assets, right? The best asset you can. So don't just fill out your roster. Take the best players available you can. Do what the Ravens do in the real draft, and every year you're going to be a contender. Just take the best players. That's how to go there. All right, let's continue on here with the draft board. After those selections of Williams and Guerrero, Colston Loveland, Tucker Kraft, I took Christian Kirk as my fifth wide receiver. Jaden Blue, Keon Coleman, Bashal Tootin, Ray Davis, Demario Douglas, a guy getting a lot of buzz in camp, looking to play that slot role. That's a very valuable role in the Patriot McDaniels offense and in fantasy as well. So, Kyle, I really like the selection here of Douglas. I was surprised that he went as soon as he has, because he's been a guy really suppressed in a lot of ADP. Do you think that's going to change over the next 2 weeks?
I think it could. If the reports out of camp continue to show what they have been, then people are going to start listening. But yeah, he's going to be a guy that, even if he doesn't have like a ton of big playability, doesn't score a ton of touchdowns in a PPR league and a 3 wide receivers start category, like, you got to throw him in every once in a while. I think you're going to get enough targets for him that you're not going to hate the day that you get from him if you've got to play him for some reason.
After Douglas, Nick Chubb, Braylon Allen, and then Jake Ciely up for 2 picks, Jalen Wright and Keenan Allen. So let's talk about Wright. Obviously, he knows the backup to Devon Achane if something goes awry there. But there's been room for other running backs to work in Mike McDaniel offenses before. And Keenan Allen recently rejoined with the Chargers. So how does he fit into that equation now that Trey Harris is here?
So we're going to have to talk around 13 because I know that was 100% on purpose. But hopefully you're pausing real quick.
I paused for you, Ciely.
Thank you. And I give you credit. Last time you didn't pause that much for me, and I want to give you credit for actually running it better and helping me out this time. But
the training camp is a time for all of us to improve, Jake. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, Jalen Wright could have RB3 value, and it wouldn't be a shock to any of us to have that usage. But even if he doesn't, worst case is his game is so similar to Achane. That's something were to happen to Achane. I think we're seeing the upside there. Like, we were excited for Jalen Wright last year. Everybody was. And then he had a disappointing rookie season. It's so funny that everybody's just like, well, he's done. Write him off. Move on. And I think that's going to be a mistake. So to get right here, we're talking about high upside bench pieces. That's why I took him. And the Keenan Allen pick is just, look at what he was able to piece together last year. And yes, I don't think he's the Keenan Allen that he ever was before, but I've been taking a lot of Trey Harris, and unfortunately, I think Keenan Allen now steps into number 2, and the worst part about it is that you have Harris battling Quentin Johnston to be the 3 on that outside piece. So I think that Keenan Allen, look, I'm not super excited. I move on from him. He's going to be the first person I cut if it doesn't happen in the first 2 or 3 weeks. He will be the first person that goes for a waiver wire piece.
Well, ironically, Trey Harris goes with the very next selection there at
saw that.
1202. So that's kind of ironic and fun. But again, draft boards, rankings are all being adjusted right now on fantasypros.com. Look at the ECR, look at the adjustments when these news things happen and everything breaks here. Keenan Allen back. Look, Allen goes up, Harris goes down, and you can see right now both ADPs right here in this draft back to back. Why? Because we don't know how it's going to work out quite yet. Marquise Brown goes. Wan'Dale Robinson, another target hog there. I love what you're doing here, Kyle. So you pounded the running back position into oblivion, and then you turned around and you decided to take all these guys who just get a ton of targets here and just kind of nick you to death in Douglas and Wan'Dale.
Yep, and those are guys that, again, if I need to fit in as my wide receiver 3 in any given week, they're probably not going to win my week for me, but it's also going to keep me in contention with some of those higher upside plays that I'm working with. So,
want to grab those guys. Kyle.
I would have much rather had Matthew Golden. I can say that over either of those guys, but that did
that's
not
fair.
work out.
I would also say to you, Hubman, that Wan'Dale probably was not making it back to you. I would have taken him. So,
well, at least I could have lived with you. Kyle watches all my. No, he knows he's on all my videos. I've been talking about it for like 6 months. Kyle did that on purpose.
I just got sniped by Ciely again.
Dylan Sampson, Cedric
cow.
Tillman goes at 1206, 1207. Rico Dowdle, Luther Burden. I took Rashad Bateman at 1209. Then Tyler Algier, Blake Corum. Hubman taking a shot. Look at that sexy pick there. Kyle Pitts. Who knows what it might be. And then Josh Palmer, who maybe he's a useful receiver for the Bills. Maybe not. But at this value, as Ciely was saying before, you could just cut him.
Yep. I mean, did you know that he was only like 100 yards and 1 touchdown away from being a top 10 tight end last year? And everybody thinks he sucks. And he does suck.
I agree. The hate for Kyle Pitts has gone too far. I was the guy at the front telling everybody to slow down when he was with Mariota. I'm like, guys, Mariota is awful. You need to slow the hell down here with this role. I know he's a great talent, but you have to have quarterbacks to execute. Now it's gone so far the other direction. I think he's a value the same way you do.
Yeah, and I'm not going to pass it at that point. He's my second tight end, and if he does pop off and Darnell Mooney starts the season less than 100%, he sees added targets in the slot, I'll see what happens with that for sure.
All right.
Can I jump in? That's a key that I think a lot of people miss in drafts too. Is imagine if Kyle Pitts starts off like gangbusters in 2 or 3 games, you're gonna have such a trade chip because people immediately are gonna go crazy. Like my pick, and I'm not, but like Brenton Strange has 2 or 3 great games to start the season. It's not like people are gonna be like, oh my god, I need to trade for Brenton Strange. If Kyle Pitts does it, people are gonna go nuts.
Yep,
absolutely.
Exactly. Yep,
after the Josh Palmer selection, Jonnu Smith, Roshan Johnson, I took Marvin Mims, building out that receiver depth with Kirk, Bateman, and Mims. Then Justin Herbert goes at 1305. Adam Thielen, Zach Moss, who's unsigned currently. We'll see where he lands. Tyler Warren, Jake Ferguson. So Ferguson is the backup to Kelsey. This seems wise to me, Kyle, because the age of Kelsey and the decline is there. It's obvious when you watch him play. We can also talk about his performance in Happy Gilmore 2, but that's going to upset the YouTube audience because that was the last show. So if you want to see the reviews, go back and watch that one.
I haven't seen it yet, so no
spoilers. Well, yeah, it's worth seeing, but it's not great. Jake Ferguson, obviously another guy, too, that has some fantasy value there, especially if the Kelsey decline becomes something more precipitous.
Yeah, I mean, for Kelsey to come back at his age with Taylor Swift waiting at home for him to come hang out, Patrick Mahomes and him have to be on the same page. Like, there has to be something for him to be like, yep, we're going to move forward. It's this offense. You're going to be a target. You're still my guy. Like, I feel like that conversation had to have happened at some point in time. But like you said, age, whatever may else happen. Now I got Jake Ferguson that I can toss in there, who I really like in terms of a lot of the, I mean, people are going to pay attention to Pickens down the field. They're going to pay attention to CeeDee Lamb, obviously. Jake Ferguson's going to have the middle of the field to just kind of hang out. He's going to see some targets down there. And again, another safe guy that I can throw in if I need to if Kelsey doesn't work out.
I'm glad you brought that up because I think a lot of people write off Ferguson because, well, you got Pickens there. But I'm not writing off Ferguson because I don't love the running back room. And I think that the intermediate way that you move the football is going to be with guys like Ferguson. Like, to me, that's how the Cowboys are going to have to – and look, it might be a lot of, throwing the ball 40 times a game kind of thing, but that's okay by me in fantasy, especially since I drafted Dak in this one. Jaleel McLaughlin, Dalton Kincaid, and then Ciely took Taj Brooks and Brenton Strange, much to the chagrin of the boys here. So, Ciely, let's talk about your final 2 picks. on the board.
Brooks was the one that I don't love here.
So Strange here brought up, like, that was my flyer at tight end, just potentially being the third piece in the Cohen offense after Hunter and Thomas, potentially. I was actually going to say Ferguson, but I didn't think that he would take a second tight end, that being Kyle. And Ferguson shouldn't be going that late, to be fair. But I'm laughing because I was going back and forth between Giddens and Brooks because I think they were two of the better overlooked backups. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to take Brooks to be that guy and mess with Jacob. And then I saw that it also screwed over Kyle at the same time. So, like, that made me feel doubly good. But I think Brooks and Giddens need to be in the same conversation. Brooks is very similar to Chase Brown. I think if Chase Brown falters or gets hurt, Brooks steps in. And then Giddens, I've been bringing this up, I think has some similarities to a David Montgomery type of production. A little underrated as a pass catcher, kind of that one-cut runner. And I think look, Jonathan Taylor's been hurt every year the past 3 years, and nobody talks about that. If something happens, I think Giddens steps in.
Yeah. All of a sudden, the daddy aura has changed from one Jake to another. Now all of a sudden you'll have to go to him and call him daddy. So I just love when that happens. So after that selection there, the final rounds we're looking at here, the last one after Strange, Jared Goff, Jack Besh, Kyle took DJ Giddens, the aforementioned, Quentin Johnston, Xavier Legette, Kareem Hunt, Hunter Henry, and then I am back on this here. It's between two guys to me. Do I want to take the salty old veteran or do I want to take the young kid? My dad used to say, youth and skill is no match for old age and treachery. But I think in this one, I'm going to go ahead and take Kyle Williams. That was the kid that I was referring to there, still on the board there, Ciely. So you're not wrong. All right, Jacob, you have the last selection here. Let's wrap things up. After Kyle Williams, Darren Waller, Jalen Coker, and then Mr. Irrelevant to Mr. Hubman.
Yeah, I mean, I don't ever take two quarterbacks, and I'm not going to here. But if I was ever going to, it would probably be in this situation if I don't trust Caleb Williams.
I think you should. I'll be honest with you. I think you should.
Should I say just forget it? And fine. You know what?
I'm just saying. Tell us the two guys you're talking about. You got like a couple seconds left. I mean, if I had Caleb in a single QB, you're right. There's potential. All of it's great. It's also potential that Caleb Williams is one of these guys we look back on and go, I can't believe they took him over Jaden Daniels. I already said that during the draft last year. But I feel like I might say that 10 years from now.
Well, I'll just go ahead and I'll just take Drake May then. Because Drake May is somebody I think in a new offense with Josh McDaniels back in New England. They got some weapons. You mentioned Stephon Diggs earlier. Looking a lot better than what we had planned him on looking at this point of the offseason. Let me get some upside of Drake May and just see what happens. And just kind of go all in on quarterback and just shoot for the upside.
Who was the other guy you were considering?
Well, Kyle Williams was on my list. He was in my queue, and then he was not in my queue after your pick.
That wasn't happening.
I was actually kind of thinking about Kyle Monangai in Chicago as a backup
Monangai I love too.
I was thinking
Hubman and I should do a NFFC together. Like it feels like we see the board very similar.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to find guys that are one injury away from a solid workload on a decent offense, and he would have fit that.
I'm with you. All right, let's get to the tail of the tape. See how we did. Oh, what's this? Could it be? Oh my God, from the 4 spot?
I'm so shocked.
Hey, I told you, I set it to grade using the rankings of Kyle Richardson, Jacob Hubman, Jake Ciely. And you guys must really just love me at the end of the day. I won the draft while doing reads and pausing a million times for Ciely and all the other stuff there going on. Team 2 was in second place. Kyle Richardson in third. Well done, Kyle. See, maybe that Malik Neighbors pick after all turned out to be a good thing.
Maybe it worked out.
Jacob Hubman at 6. I think that's a little unfair. I think it was better. Jake Ciely right on his heels at 7. We can take a look through, and you guys can click through. One of the great things here about when you run your simulations, you get to look at the expert opinions, the steals, the pick analysis, the team strengths and weaknesses. All of that is here for you to break it down on your mock so you can go in and feel prepared. For me, it says if I had drafted Joe Burrow, I know I had thought about it, and Jake Ciely didn't let me do it. I would have been even better, but I didn't really do that and really embarrass everybody. The bye weeks are going to be tough for me. Sure, that's fair, but I don't care about bye weeks. Sleeper alerts for me. I got Dak, Marvin Mims, and Kyle Williams. It said the steal of my team was Kyle Williams. And let's see if there's any expert opinions here that are positive. Oh, you know who liked my draft more than anybody else? Me. A+. What a shock. Scott Pianowski, though, who is a tough, great. Let me tell you, Pianowski, one of the best in the business. I got an A+ from Pianowski. I don't think I've ever seen that in baseball or football ever. People who hate my draft, well, they can go screw. Let's talk about some of Jake Ciely's here. Since he's bringing up the rear, let's take a look. Who liked your draft and hated it, Jake?
So Kevin Steele, Chris Dell, Raju Byfield. There were some really smart guys on that side of things, I have to say. Brandon Murchison, Joe Rico. I don't know.
Joe
I don't
Rico.
know.
Yeah, Joe Rico's great.
Oh, see, there you go.
All Joe Ricos.
That's the
We have
smart
one that
people.
works
Those are
here
the
and
smartest
one that
people in the
gets
industry.
Yeah.
If you guys were smart, you see your names there too.
There you go. Let's run through Jake's roster here, which is, I think, very good. Joe Burrow, followed by Derrick Henry, Ken Walker, really solid tandem at the running back position. And then look at this wide receiver core. Brian Thomas, Devontae Adams, Jamison Williams. Strange is the tight end. Maybe that hurt you a little bit. Maybe tight end got away from you. Matthew Golden at the flex, then Jacoby Myers, Tyrone Tracy, Tank Bigsby, Jalen Wright, Keenan Allen, Taj Brooks. This is the way to do it from the 12 turn, everybody. Take a good look, take a picture. I think this should be top 5 in the rankings, to be honest with you, Jake. But break down your roster, where to go right, where to go wrong for you.
Yeah, a lot of suggestions to make my team better have taking out Keenan Allen. I think that's just part of the fact that there hasn't been adjustment. It just happened. So that's going to be affecting the roster. But I think it went right pretty much for how I expected to be from the 12th turn. I wasn't expecting to get Joe Burrow. I think having that is huge as a value. I would have been happy to wait on quarterback, but similar, you said, the strange killing me is I approach quarterback the same way I approach tight end. If I don't get the top tier, I'm waiting till the end game, and I'm taking flyers. I would have taken like the Ferguson pick or a quarterback, as mentioned. When Jacob brought it up, we still had Purdy and Love and others still on the board. I don't think that'll be in the case for most of the people watching their drafts. We're going to get quarterbacks deeper, so they should not have still been there. But to have Jameson as my 3 with Golden in my flex, I know there's some volatility there, but when they're the 3 and 4 and not your 2 and 3, you can live with the upside. I mean, those are players that could, they got me 20 points, helped me win this week. But because the roster construction is Walker with my second running back, I can absorb those down weeks. And then as I preach and preach and preach, you know this, Joe, and I'm pretty sure everybody here is going to agree. My bench doesn't have guys that like, he can fill in for me for week 5. I don't care. Like, you find those guys all the time. I want people who could potentially turn into top 25 players at running back and wide receiver. Otherwise, I'm not rostering you. Outside of, like I said, Keenan Allen. I just, maybe things get right with Justin Herbert, but I'll move on. I brought it up with that pick. I'll move on if it's not happening in the first 2 or 3 weeks.
Kyle, since most of your favorite players are on Ciely's team, what would you give as a grade?
I mean, I like his team. Like I said, he stole Bigsby from me. He stole Golden from me. He stole Brooks at the end. I thought Jamison Williams was a fantastic pick. So, I mean, I really like his team. I think my team is way too safe, if I'm being honest. Like, now that I'm sitting, if I'm sitting here looking at it, I'm like, there's some upside there with Neighbors and London and Smith, but I think Kamara and Connor and Montgomery, I think it's just a little too safe. And if I could have redone anything, it would have been that Travis Kelce pick. I would have bumped that Travis Kelce pick out, and I would have went with Golden or Bigsby first. The other one probably still would not have made it to me, but I would have felt a lot better about my team and its upside had I nailed one of those picks a little bit later.
Well, I mean, it's a solid roster. Bo Nix at quarterback, Alvin Kamara, James Conner, then Malik Neighbors, Drake London. What incredible duo that is.
Yeah, I know he didn't want Neighbors, but you have over 300 targets with 200 receivers.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think you're being a little tough on yourself here. London, Devonta Smith, terrific. Yes, you do have Kelce, but you also have Ferguson there for the backup. Mm-hmm. But obviously, as you said, you got Ferguson, you could live with him. So that is where you go wrong. But that's the nice thing about this. As I said, you can undo picks. When you're doing your mock draft simulate, you're like, I don't like the way this roster is looking now. I'm going to redo it. Same spot in the draft order. After Kelce, you had Montgomery in the flex, Aaron Jones, and Ferguson, Wandale, Trey Benson, Demario Douglas, DJ Giddens. Hubman, what did you think of your co-host's draft here?
It was horrible. No, I mean,
terrible.
Obviously, we talk to each other like every single day, so we have a lot of similar opinions on people. And I mentioned it at the very beginning of the show. You can't score fantasy points if you don't get touches. And he racked up the opportunity for a ton of touches, which in turn turns into fantasy points. So, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, I know we're both early running back guys for the most part, but if you're going to go the other direction, that's not a bad way to do it.
All right, well, let's look at the way you did it, Jacob, from the one spot. Caleb Williams, Kyron Williams, that's it. I'm sorry, I couldn't let you get that third Williams. It's like that infinity gauntlet. Right. Like, only 2 for you.
So I got double chases, too, though, so it's okay.
You did get double. You got Chase Brown. Everybody's Chaser Williams on your team. Yep. Kyron Williams, Chase Brown, then Jamar Chase, George Pickens, Deebo Samuel, very nice there. David Njoku, Calvin Ridley at the flex, terrific. Then you've got Pacheco, Egbuka, Drake May, Garendo, Pitts, Palmer. What a bench you've built out, Jacob.
I feel And I totally agree with what Jake said earlier about I don't care about the bench because you figure it out as you go along. 100% agree with that. But I do feel like I have some guys that I can count on for the long haul as well. But also there are some guys in there like Kyle Pitts, and we mentioned with Grendo as well. Like I got trade pieces potentially too. If they pop off early or if something happens, I can make a move for a piece that is underperforming in my lineup at that time. And so when I'm building teams, like I'm kind of thinking that way of, I don't want to have like I don't want everybody's handcuffs on my bench because I'm just wasting spots. But if I can pick a few of the top guys here or there that I like, and if they can produce early, can really benefit my overall team. I mean, who's to say that I couldn't turn Calvin Ridley and Isaac Guerrero into a top tier wide receiver? You know, if the CMC owner needs it, now all of a sudden I've increased my potential flex output. So overall, I love the team. I know a lot of people don't love Debo. I probably got knocked a little bit for taking Drake May at the very end as well, but that's okay. Like that's not a
not
big
here,
issue
not
for
in
me.
this room.
No, but I mean overall,
there.
I would take this team 10 out of 10 times in any league.
I agree with you. Kyle, what did you think of Jacob's team? Be honest.
I'll be nicer. I'll say I didn't hate it. It's not bad. No, I think whenever you get the first overall pick, and you obviously can start with Jamar Chase and PPR, and then still rack up the amount of potential and touches you can at the end of round 2, the start of round 3 with Chase Brown and Kyron Williams, you're already off to such a really good start that you can mess around with some things the rest of the way, and then you get the upside of Ridley and Pickens after that. Like that's a heck of a start the first 5 rounds of the draft. That's nailing it from the one spot.
All right, let's run through my roster and then we'll call it a day here. Dak Prescott at QB, 2 rookie running backs, RJ Harvey and Omarion Hampton. Then we have Justin Jefferson, Ladd McConkey, Garrett Wilson, 3 number ones, boys and girls. That's how you do it. They want to talk about relative position value in the black book all the time. 3 number ones. I got one of the 1-1s. I got a 1 at number 2 and a 1 at number 3. I love that. Makes me very happy. Mark Andrews at tight end, then Tony Pollard. I also have Tajay Spears on this team as well. We've got Stephon Diggs right now at the flex. We've got Christian Kirk, Kyle Williams, Rashad Bateman, Marvin Mims Jr. Jake Ciely, give me your take on this roster since it didn't say that you loved my draft or hated it. Where did you land on it, Ciely?
I think it's actually pretty solid. The only thing I'd swap out is Harvey for Connor in a heartbeat. Mostly, it's not even the fact that I have hate for Connor. It's just I don't necessarily believe that it's going to be his backfield this season. And maybe it is, maybe at the end of the year, but I do believe Dobbins is going to be more of a thorn. I was actually surprised how far apart they have been in drafts so far, and we've already heard that Dobbins is look, he didn't look amazing last year, but James Conner's an RB1 when he's healthy. That's why I would do the swap, because I know we'd be shocked if he plays 15 games again, but at that point, like, you have somebody who's putting up RB1 numbers for as long as that might be, and then you still have Spears and Pollard in case that shakes out a different way. So outside of that, I actually thought Mark Andrews is a really nice value back at tight end when people were kind of fading him, but with the likely injury, that's just going to open things up for that. And then Dak Prescott, you and I have already talked about as being a great bounce back candidate. So I think it's a very solid. Like, the biggest thing is you have an advantage to be able to make up for those other issues, because Garrett Wilson, while I don't think he's a fantasy one, he's probably the best third wide receiver in this draft.
There you go. So you got a good look here. How to draft from the 1. How to draft from the early round or the early selections here at me at 4. Then you've got the back end here at 9 and 12. Great stuff here. What an incredible, fun draft this was. I want to thank the headliners for joining us for this fun crossover episode, giving us their time. Jacob, go plug the YouTube channel, everything you guys got going over there at Fantasy Headliners right now, because I know this is the busy season, as they like to say.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we're 5+ shows a week now. Once the season kicks off, we're 13+. So, I mean, we got everything you need, similar to you guys, right? I mean, it's a lot of breaking down analytics and just trying to look at the game a different way and have fun while doing it. I think the biggest thing that we try to do is it's like you're sitting down at a table or at a bar with your buddies talking football, right? And that's what we try to come across as, is just normal dudes just talking football with the people. So absolutely, the Fantasy Headliners over on YouTube is where we're at majority of the time.
All right, Kyle, I know, is barely hanging on. He's got to go lay down because
he needs another cough drop.
He needs something.
It's actually my kid's first day of school today, so they're going to be getting out here in like 15 minutes, and they're going to be wandering around.
Yeah,
so.
Different places. They start earlier, man. I have cousins out in Arizona. They started like last week, I think. God, it's crazy out there. Jake Ciely from The Athletic. Obviously, always great to have you here on the show as well. But who do you think won the draft? Drop your comments below. Who is the best roster here, and why is it mine? That's what I'd love to hear from you on the YouTube channel. Again, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Drop your comments below. You might win yourself that A.J. Brown autographed helmet from Pristine Auction. That's a hell of a giveaway. It's super cool. And that'll do it for us. But the story of the game goes on. For the headliners and Jake Ciely, I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids.